Our Heavenly Father, we come to you with gratitude as much as we can muster um, to thank you for the way you have blessed us and our town and the people. We pray that as we take up the business of the town, that we will do so as responsibly as we can. And we, we just pray for all of those who are serving abroad, that you will give them safety and that they will be back with their families as quickly as possible. We thank you for their sacrifice. We thank you for the sacrifice of those who work for us, and please keep our employees safe and the men and women that serve PD. Pray that you will keep them safe. Thank you for what they do and clear their minds as they work a difficult job. Please watch over our Public Works Department as they work out on the streets, and we just thank you for the work that they do. And just may we all be humble and kind in everything that we do in this job. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're going to move something up on the agenda. We're going to move the presentation up on the agenda, Council. If we're moving it up, do we need to approve the agenda with that change, or can we just move that presentation up? We're moving it up to right now. Okay. Okay. All right. We are, though he is not here, we're going to recognize first our Public Works worker, Rod Jones. And you have some words you'd like to say, Philip?
Well, Rod, we just wanted to recognize Rod. Roderick Jones has been working for the town for 5 years. It's his 5-year anniversary just a couple of days ago. He's one of our Public Works technicians, and he does a fantastic job. We hired Rod. We actually hired a couple of them at around the same time. Cody was hired at the same time. And so we're very proud of Rod, and we're wanted to congratulate him on his 5 years of service to the town, and we hope that he'll be here for many more years.
He is a bright spot, and hopefully he's watching on the live stream, and we appreciate him and what he does. So he's already gotten his certificate, so thank you, Rod. And Chief, we invite you to come forward. Argosell, we appreciate you joining us this time.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping you'd do that. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So tonight we're going to ask you to celebrate with us. We have a couple promotions we'd like to recognize. To my right here is Corporal Kyle Johns. He's been recently promoted to corporal, does a fantastic job. This young man to my left is Daniel Mercer, also promoted to corporal, also does a fantastic job. And lastly, as promised a few weeks ago, new arrival, Mr. Hergersell, would you like to say something to the Mayor and Council?
You don't have to.
All right, he's good. So thank you for your time, and just help us celebrate these gentlemen.
Congratulations.
Thank you, men. Thanks all of you for what you do. All right, so we will now open the floor to public comment. And as usual, we ask that you keep it to 3 minutes and state your name and address for us, and have a form filled out for us to give to our clerk. And this is not a time for question and answer. It's a time for you to speak. And if you would like to ask questions, we can join you after the meeting and hopefully answer any questions you have at that time. I don't have any forms, but someone's already stood up, so Ms. Larson, we'll start with you.
Good evening, Molly Larson, Kelsworth Way, and I would like to talk about the data centers as far as the water and the sewer usage. I think we may have made decisions based on numbers that the data suggests could turn out to be very different from what actually gets built. And that difference matters a great deal for our water usage and sewer capacity. To the best of my knowledge, and I could be a little off here, Tyrone has 400,000 gallons per day, GPD, of sewer capacity purchased from Fulton County. And I believe we currently use a little over half of that. The new homes near the roundabout at Arrowwood will be on this sewer system, and we need to hold back some capacity as buffer for rain events. And after accounting for the current usage, I feel like we're going to have about 104,000 GPD remaining of capacity. And based on the conversations I've had with the Fayette County Development Authority, I conservatively estimate Microsoft will need somewhere between 74,000 and 110,000 gallons per day, and that cuts it close and could possibly fall short. Why do I question Microsoft's numbers? Well, the first red flag is the 4,000 gallons per day water usage figure listed in the town's website. That's strikingly small for a number for a campus of 95 megawatts. My best guess is that this figure represents an average or a baseline over a full year, but sewer systems don't care about averages when they back up. They care about peak demand. The second concern is what the data actually shows when compared side by side. The Development of Regional Impact, or DRI, filings contain Microsoft's own estimates of what they say they'll need, not actual usage numbers, but predictions used by the town to make its decision. I compared these DRI estimates to other Microsoft data center DRI filings and to Microsoft's actual verified usage numbers in Wisconsin in order to figure out which cooling system we're getting in Tyrone. Microsoft is not transparent about these figures, and in Wisconsin, the Milwaukee Riverkeepers had to sue just to obtain actual usage numbers. I used that verified data to test what the DRI numbers imply about our own cooling plan. Why does the cooling system matter? And I have to get into the engineering weeds a little bit here, but I'll keep it super simple. Microsoft apparently uses two different cooling systems. One is the Fairwater design, which uses very little evaporative cooling, and therefore needs far less water and sewer capacity. It draws more power, requires extensive fan infrastructure, and costs more to install, but Microsoft typically reserves it for their largest campuses. The second design is a combination design, which is evaporative cooling, and whenever the temperature rises, it needs more water and much more sewer demand. It's cheaper to install and is typically used for smaller facilities. And I have some of my friends back here who are going to continue on this point.
Good evening, Carrie Clarl, 203 Man Road. I believe Microsoft sold us the Fairwater setup, which is a low water, low sewer configuration, back when the original plan called for 6 data centers totaling 1.5 million square feet per the DRI. But when the land parcel only allowed for 2 buildings, the plan changed. Uncool. The original Project Rita DRI numbers closely resemble Microsoft's actual verified numbers from Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin, a facility we know for certain uses the Fairwater design. However, since that 2023 DRI filing, Microsoft's own statements have shifted. An article in the Fayette News covering Microsoft's Tyrone open house quotes the company describing direct evaporative cooling, the combination setup, not Fairwater. Microsoft's own website similarly states that Palmetto, Tyrone, Douglasville, and East Point will all use direct evaporative cooling with air-cooled chillers. Again, the combination setup. Put plainly, they sold us one thing and appear to be delivering another. The DRI numbers point toward a Fairwater plan, but what we're actually being told now is evaporative cooling, which means real ongoing water and sewer demand, not the minimal footprint originally suggested. This is where my sewer estimate comes from. I obtained a water usage figure from the FCDA and adjusted it to reflect 2 data center buildings instead of the original number modeled. I then applied the industry standard range of 20 to 30% of water consumption as the portion that goes to sewer, giving a range of 73,000 to 110 GPD. For the DRI comparisons, my methodology was to convert each facility's usage into gallons per square foot for both water and sewer, a straightforward unit comparison, the same way you'd compare unit prices at a grocery store. When I lined up the numbers, Project Rita's DRI figures closely match Microsoft's actual verified Mount Pleasant numbers, which we know is a fair water facility. Project Rita's figures also resemble the QTS filing, which uses fair water design. It's worth noting that Microsoft is currently the only tenant at QTS, and QTS was built specifically to Microsoft's specifications. Though QTS likely won't be all fair water buildings, this does complicate that particular comparison somewhat. Taken together, this comparison is why I believe Microsoft originally proposed a fair water facility back when the plan called for 1.5 million square feet and is now delivering something different at the reduced 500,000 square foot footprint.
Next.
Good evening, Ellie Varela, Man Road. In conclusion, I believe Project Rita will end up looking a great deal like, if not identical to, Microsoft Azure in Palmetto, which uses 656,000 gallons per day at peak per its own DRI filing. I'd also challenge the sewer figure Microsoft reported for Palmetto. Industry standard puts sewer discharge at 20 to 30% of water usage under evaporative cooling, but Palmetto's DRI reports only 14%. At 656,000 GPD of water consumption, actual peak sewer output is more plausibly around 131,000 gallons per day, a number that would overwhelm our existing sewer system, which already has capacity problems. Microsoft has not been transparent about its plans and designs. Getting the actual numbers is extremely difficult. The company treats them as proprietary while drawing heavily on our local water and sewer resources. The DRI numbers that the town used to make its approval decision may not be anywhere close to what is actually gets built and used. Getting verified usage numbers requires an open record request to the relevant water and sewer authorities, which is a process that we found to be very expensive. In Wisconsin, it actually took legal action to obtain those numbers at all. What I'm asking for is A, usage figures need to be scrutinized and placed front and center as Microsoft begins submitting formal plans to Tyrone. B, any gap between what Microsoft originally proposed in the DRI and what they now intend to build needs to be clearly identified and addressed. C, the town should hold a firm, inflexible line on accommodating any new or expanded utility needs that Microsoft requests. And lastly, the town should demand actual documented usage numbers from comparable Microsoft facilities that are already operating, not just on these DRI estimates. If we tap out or exceed our sewer capacity, it comes at a monetary cost and limits our options going forward as we try to carry out the comprehensive plan for Tyrone. I'd ask the town to please listen to the residents who want to see this project halted. Thank you.
Next.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Pugh. I reside at 305 Westbourne Drive. There's been a lot of discussion this evening around sewage capacity, so I wanted to continue to expand on that topic. Attending a Fairburn meet and greet meeting last week, there was discussion around the many apartment complexes on the south side of Fairburn, specifically on Landrum and Milam Roads. After the meeting, I addressed the mayor about sewage capacity to confirm the utilities are available for those high-density housing projects, knowing there are longstanding issues with the sewage system on Landrum Road. For those not aware, there are multiple generators that reside on Landrum Road that keep the sewage system working. Residents on Landrum complain about the 24/7 generator noise, have reported sewage leaks and overflows in their yard, with toilet paper being present. Landrum Road smells of sewage. It is my understanding that Tyrone purchases sewage capacity from Fairburn, Fulton County. I did bring this up to Mayor Hattie Portis Jones, and she said that Tyrone's contract with Fairburn, Fulton County to buy some of Fairburn's surplus wastewater capacity will not be renewed. Considering Fairborn's growth, current issues with their sewage system, and the potential of Tyrone's contract not being renewed, what is Tyrone's plan to cover this shortfall? So if we do move forward with Project Rita, which is not what we're looking to do, what additional capacity needs to meet the large additional demand? What are we going to do? What's the plan to cover that shortfall? And we're wanting more specifically, how are you going to fund this and the requirements that you're going to put on Microsoft to do so? Thank you for listening and your time this evening.
Thank you. Next.
Hello, my name is Tom White. I live at 375 Man Road. What I'd like to address today is sort of the presentation that we were given a couple of weeks ago about ordinances and about how we got a handful of 14 or 15 town ordinances or county ordinances that were somewhat similar to ours, and so we should be good. This kind of felt like sort of the tenor of that. These ordinances were almost all written and implemented prior to the data center boom and do not consider the specific impacts the data centers bring to the community. Additionally, you didn't mention that there were 35 counties and 26 municipalities that have instituted moratoriums completely on data centers while the impacts are studied. There are additionally states, New York State has issued for the entire state, a moratorium. Even Texas has issued a moratorium on any being built in rural areas, which I would consider Tyrone. We're asking for a deeper scrutiny, demanding newer regulations that actually ask the questions that are brought with a data center. Also, we were sort of told that we couldn't have one set of rules for one business and another, that was a slippery slope. I remember that being, there are countless businesses and industries that have a higher scrutiny: healthcare and pharma, oil, gas, mining, food, agriculture, utilities, manufacturing, hazardous chemical, handling and storage, nuclear power plants, construction, transportation. Aircraft manufacturing has a higher tolerance than auto manufacturing. This is just a small sample. And apparently, also, if you run a business that performs massages here, you have limited hours of operation, which do not apply to grocery stores or restaurants or gas stations or other retail stores. So the idea that, I'm sorry, I did fail to mention in some of the other areas that had moratoriums. I just want to go back. Palmetto, Fayette, City of Atlanta, DeKalb County. And I'd suggest that Palmetto and Fayette, a big part of that, they have them, and now they understand why they don't want them. Thank you.
Next.
Hi, I'm Darcy White, and I'm at 375 Man. Live with that guy. So thank you for giving us some time to speak tonight. I also kind of wanted to follow on the presentation that we got last week, and understand you guys have done a lot of work there. But I think what came out of that, to me at least, was the fact that we do have the opportunity still to kind of think about how we want this to happen, and ordinances such as decommissioning, I think, is an incredibly important point. I think all of us think that data centers, especially in the form that they are today and the form that they're proposing to be put in Tyrone, will be very, very different. And there's a really, really high likelihood that we have what we call a partner now in Microsoft leaving us high and dry in a few years with a huge facility that no one can do anything with. And so I think if you look at similar types of developments where there's a huge potential environmental impact and a very hard job that a community would have to tear something down, such as oil and gas or other energy infrastructure projects, there is a lot of precedent to say that you need to take that back to kind of the way it was. And that's a reasonable request, I think, that we can make of Microsoft. The other thing I wanted to point out, and maybe you all know this, and if you do, that's great, but hopefully a question for Mr. Davenport, is at what point do we lose the ability to make changes in these ordinances? I don't know if that's when Microsoft puts in their plans, what have you, but I would love to know kind of what your timeline is for making changes to these ordinances that we think are so critical, given kind of the knowledge that we have now of data centers and what the community wants. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. All right, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Pardon me? Sure. One moment, can I get somebody to remove their motion?
I remove my motion.
Who said second?
I remove the second.
No worries.
Take your time.
So my name is Joanna. I'm at 125 Thompson Road. To my understanding, the data center would be built across the street from my family. And I don't have the exact numbers that everyone else here has. I don't know exact information. I get nervous with public speaking, but I wanted to make the effort to come out here and just let you guys know that I'm very against the data centers being built in our communities. I don't think that's really, the pros aren't outweighing the cons. And it could directly affect my family and the people around us, my neighbors, and I just really implore you guys to please reconsider. It's just, please don't do the data centers. I just don't think the pros outweigh any cons.
Thank
And
you.
I don't have much else, but thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I will more.
Evening. My name's Donna Wesley. I live 730 Millbrook Village Drive, Tyrone, Georgia. I don't have an eloquent presentation, but I ditto everything they say. I'm asking the town of Tyrone to, if we are stuck with the data center, to review the ordinance, and $1,000 fine for any violation is not worth the lives of the residents of Tyrone. I hope the board has a heart and tries to do something for the residents of Tyrone and not go with big business, to sit there and make the evaluations, to tighten up, because there are cities outside the state of Georgia that has tightened up where the data centers are led by what they are supposed to do. $1,000 fine is nothing for Microsoft. It's pennies. And when you destroy streams, no amount of money can repair the damage that it can do, let alone the lives of the residents here. If we all have cancer, how is the town supposed to get any type of tax revenue if we're all dead? I'm just asking for the council to try to help us and to listen to us and do the research. Our lives are at stakes. And I thank you for taking the time to listen to me.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
That it? All right, now is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Mr. Langford.
Good evening, council.
Good evening.
Tonight, I'm presenting to you the consideration to award the 2024 Shamrock Industrial Park Emergency Access Road. That's project number PW 2024-09 to McElroy Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $289,023.12. The bids for this were received on August 12th and read aloud. The project consists of an unpaved road along with fencing and gates. This system or this project will not be used by the public unless it's ordered by emergency services for for evacuation of the industrial park. Normal delays and closures due to railroad operation, maintenance, or inspections will not constitute an emergency for public use. The low bidder was McElroy Incorporated at $289,023.12. It's coming out of the general fund project. Budget number 14054-1400, and staff requests the council approve the plans for the approves the award for the 2024 emergency access road for Shamrock Industrial Park, PW 2024-09 to McElroy Incorporated in the amount of $289,023.12. I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have on it.
Was this budgeted? And what was your budget for that project?
This was budgeted, and we had estimated it at $300,000.
How much?
$300,000.
Thank you. And if this was to go through, when would they start the project?
Typically, if this is approved tonight, it would take about a month to go through getting all the documents together. It'll take about another month of review through legal and stuff like that, a couple weeks to a month. So typically, it takes about 2 months total, depending upon how quickly we get bonds back and some of those kind of things.
Thank you.
Scott, what's the estimated time of completion?
Oh, that's a great question. I believe on this project we had not 100% sure, but I think it was around 120 days.
Okay.
I can get that information for you though and send it to y'all in an email.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay. Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we approve and we award the Shamrock Industrial Emergency Access Road Project number PW 2024-09 to McElroy Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $289,023.12.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, council.
You're welcome. All right, back to public comment. Anybody like to speak again?
Good evening again, Ellie Varela on Man Road. I'm here to continue to state my opposition against Project Rita in my own words. Just like to give a shout out to Molly, who is incredible with the numbers. So what a depressing feeling for me it is to know that my town council and staff wouldn't fight for its residents' quality of life. And what a heartbreaking realization it is to know that if Project Rita goes on to get built, I will be nestled between 2 data centers that will make it impossible for me to go to work each day without driving by one. That other one would be Microsoft Azure. I just urge you guys, please stop with the "it can't be done" attitude. It seems to roadblock every request that your constituents have. Staff and council, when I asked about noise or the possibility of having baseline acoustical studies, I received the response, no. The town's ordinances do not require a baseline acoustical study for developments of this nature, and the town cannot require studies or impose conditions that are not authorized by our ordinances. So council, I'm asking you to impose conditions and then make them authorized by our ordinances. When I responded to Brandon to ask if you'd all had taken a look at the research for cooling data centers in hot and humid clients, answer was not given. Instead, it was diverted with, the relevant question for the town is not whether a development will produce audible sound, but whether it complies with the applicable noise standards. No noise ordinance can eliminate all sound. In no way did I suggest that a development should have no sound at all, but I do believe that it shouldn't be consistently heard from over 2 miles away, as Microsoft Azure can be, especially when residents border the property, as Project Rita would. In your own BTP ordinance, section 113 to 138, you have it written that BTP houses buildings uses which are free from nuisances as noise, vibration, odor, and more. When I asked about an emergency plan, you responded with, no. The town does not require developers to submit a comprehensive emergency plan as part of the permitting process. Meanwhile, we have hundreds of residents in River Oaks that have a single exit point to their neighborhood, which would lead directly towards the data center in the event of an emergency. When I asked about the environmental reporting, you included in your response that Microsoft has committed to continuing its annual sustainability reporting and stated that it will comply with required reporting. To which I responded that Microsoft has fallen short of commitments many times, and this is marketing language. Then that initial response was countered, saying that the town's authority only extends to enforcing applicable codes, ordinances, and permit requirements. So again, let's work together to make better codes and ordinances applicable. You keep going back to the same broken record to make it seem like creating stricter or specific ordinances is not possible. Thank you.
Kevin Leslie, 163 Man Road. I guess it's Fayetteville. After hearing what I heard tonight, I'm quite concerned that if you don't stop this center, that the money you're looking to appropriate for the new Explorer and the different projects that you've got going, you might want to put them on hold because you're going to need a lot of money to sue Microsoft. I just looked up some of the lawsuits, and they're in the millions of dollars for violations that they've done. So it's something to consider. If you don't stop it, you're going to be faced, you're going to be in court. Thanks.
Carrie Clarl, 203 Man Road. At the last meeting, we were told many times that Tyrone's ordinances are comparable to those of other Georgia municipalities. There are plenty of gaps in your ordinances. Noise, for example. From the presentation, it sounded like Microsoft can actually install components first, and then the town will determine if the noise complies with our ordinance, and if it doesn't, we tell Microsoft to fix it through attenuation. That's not acceptable. We should know what the noise will be before anything is permitted. As I saw for myself near the Microsoft Azure data center, Microsoft sound attenuation consists of a short board fence and immature trees that do nothing to attenuate sound. Their actions speak, their words placate. You can tell Microsoft to fix it, but they will never be able to sufficiently attenuate the sound. Chapter 26 of your code states, quote, "The following conditions may be declared to be nuisances, loud or unusual noises which are detrimental or annoying to the public," end quote. Data centers create loud, unusual, annoying noises. Your BTP ordinance defines acceptable businesses as those in a planned campus setting that are, quote, "free from nuisances such as noise, vibration, smoke, gas, fumes, etc." Data centers create noise, EMFs, diesel fumes, and odor. Section 10948 of your code states this, quote, "Every effort shall be made to protect adjacent residential areas from a potential nuisance created by a proposed commercial or industrial development," end quote. The truth is you can't protect the adjacent residential areas from the nuisance Project Rita will be. Last month, a lawsuit was filed by residents living near Microsoft's data center in Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin, citing recurring ongoing noise. The suit claims Microsoft failed to control noise through soundproofing acoustic barriers and quieter cooling systems. That's because they can't control the noise. Do you not think we will be faced with the same issue? Based on your ordinances, how can you consider issuing permits for an industrial facility that will be a nuisance? I have to echo a question asked at the last meeting. Whose side are you on? I urge you to get ahead of this and do what you can to stop it. I have heard you say it's too early to answer many of the questions being asked now. Well, I would argue that it's already too late. The town should have asked questions about water and sewage requirements, noise, and other concerns before approving Project Rita. This data center does not belong in a residential area. You may have designated this property as a gateway district, but that didn't remove all the residential properties around it or your duty to protect them from the very nuisances described in your ordinances. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Are there any staff comments?
Sir, I have one staff comment. It's regarding the purchase of the Skyjack scissor lift from our last meeting. That item, we approved the purchase from Aerial Titans in an amount not to exceed $20,850. That amount did not include shipping of that, of the scissor lift to the town. Shipping is an additional $750. I just wanted to bring it back to you for your authorization. That additional $750 brings the total to $21,600, which is still the lowest bid from our bid tabulation. The next highest item was $22,995. So staff is just requesting that we approve the purchase of that Skyjack for an amended amount of $21,600, which is $750 more than what we approved last time for the purposes of getting it shipped to the town.
You need a motion for the 750 or for the 21.6?
You can make a motion for either an additional 750 or for a grand total of 21,600.
I'll make a motion to approve an additional $750 for shipping for the Skyjack scissor lift.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Other staff comments?
Yes, sir, I have one. I'd like to give a shout out to Matt, Mitch, and Dominic. During the big heavy rains events, they were down 2 people, and we managed to keep most of our roads in pretty good shape and open for business. And they spent a lot of time cutting trees, limbs all year long, and that paid off a lot because we didn't have a ton of trees down. So, like I say, shout out to them and the whole public works crew. They work very hard. So, thanks.
Thank you, especially in this heat. Any other staff comments? Okay. Council comments.
I have 2 questions, actually. I think one, Philip, you responded to the on-call system, and we will have that next month in front of us?
I think we'll probably see it sometime next month, but it might be next month or early the month after that.
The what system? I'm sorry.
The on-call system for Public Works?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
our on-call policy amendment. It's in legal review.
Gotcha.
Okay. And then the other one is, somebody had brought up tonight, what is the timeline for changing ordinances? Is there a timeline for changing ordinances in situations like this?
So it kind of depends on what type of ordinances and what area of restriction that we're talking about. There is no timeline for changing ordinances at all, ever. It's about the timeline of changing ordinances that would apply to a development's in what vested rights they may or may not have. There are some that we could have passed now that could be, you know, the new development could have to abide by. There are others that we may not be able to require them to abide by. So there is no time limit on the ability to pass any ordinances in terms of, you know, there's a hard time frame. But yeah, it just depends on what area that ordinance covers and whether it conflicts with a pre-existing vested right that they have as a part of zoning.
So like, for example, with noise, because I keep hearing noise come up, is that something we could consider changing the ordinance for?
Noise is a public health, safety, and welfare item, so there's a potential that, yes, amending the noise ordinance, they would have to comply with any future noise ordinance requirements. It depends a little bit on the scope. I can let, Dennis can comment on that if he wants to provide any additional clarity. But that is a possibility, and it's a higher likelihood that a noise-type ordinance would have to be, implemented. Microsoft would have to implement those, yeah.
Thank you.
Have any additional comment, or was that sufficiently explained? Thank you. Any other council comments?
I have a couple. In regards to what Maureen was saying, I would like to find out if there is a consensus with council to direct staff to amend our noise and light trespass that you mentioned in the last council meeting, that there were shortfalls that we could address and stiffer penalties for violations, as well maybe some type of tiered violation, that would be applicable for sound and specifically, that would be have more teeth to it. And I would like to know other council members if they would like to direct staff to do that ASAP.
I would agree with that.
I thought we did that in the last meeting.
We went through different areas of impact, and noise was one of those, and we had identified the noise ordinance, and there are some areas that we could. Our default decibel limits are as strict or stricter than a lot of the ordinances that are out there, even some of the very heavily new and restrictive ordinances. So our decibel limits are very are high. What we don't have are exact attenuation metrics for exactly how you have to build sound walls and what standards those sound walls have to be. I'll note that construction is allowed in order to have and perform that testing, because it kind of depends on a lot of different factors. But a certificate of occupancy is not issued until they're able to demonstrate compliance. So it's not that our ordinance does not have the ability to maintain that decibel limit. We would test at the property line to ensure before a certificate of occupancy is issued, really immediately after any of those facilities are constructed, we would be able to require testing, and we would.
Well, I thought at the last meeting, Jessica asked about the light, because I think you mentioned that some municipalities had a dark skies overlay, and how we just don't, or for whatever reason.
We have very similar standards for shielding and light trespass, but we don't have, there's very specific foot candle measurements that you can actually, you can measure that are two different standards. And dark sky, as people are familiar with that terminology, there's a dark sky standard that a lot of the ordinances have implemented. A lot of them have something similar to what we have, and there are a few that have something that's less. So there's a possibility to investigate a dark sky, something that we have to keep in mind. If we implement a dark sky standard, depending on how and where we implement it, that would be present for all properties potentially in the town. We'd have to take a look at that and see who's in compliance now to compliance with a dark sky standard. But we can take a look at that and see if there's an ordinance that we can prepare that doesn't put other properties into a non-conforming status, if it's something that we can apply to particular areas. Same thing goes for noise. We can take a look at that ordinance and see where we can have some objective sound attenuation metrics that they have to abide by. I'll note that even with those sound attenuation metrics, they would still have to construct those items and test to ensure that those sound attenuation metrics are working, even if we do define them. But it's not something that they're allowed to operate post certificate of occupancy. They have to prove they're in compliance before they can occupy that building and utilize it.
Okay, thank you for that, and I'll look forward to seeing what you come back with. And anything else that you think needs tweaking that would maybe address some of these public comments would be appreciated. I have another request also. I'd like to officially request that the processing of memorial veterans crosses and bricks be given to the Tyrone's Veteran Committee Prior to the creation of this committee, the service was provided by the Parks and Recreation Department. And the installation of the crosses and bricks will still remain a service provided by the town's Public Works Department. And the Tyrone's Veteran Committee is now fully formed, and representatives are here from the committee. If they would like to come forward, I would like to introduce them and let them have just a brief moment to speak about what we intend to do at Veterans Park, the enhancement of Veterans Park. This is Mr. Burt Miner. Dr. Nita, I'm sorry, we're new friends, but Brown. And there are other members that couldn't be here tonight. So, Mr. Miner, if you would like to say a few words.
I've been lucky enough to become the chairman of the TV.
Please speak into the microphone for the people watching by video.
Hello, everybody. I'm Burt Miner. I'm the elected chair of our TVC group. Nita Brown, she's our vice chair. She'll chime in as she wants. But we now are official. We got our EIN. We got our 501c3 status. We started a bank account. We've been working diligently with the town. Brandon's been fantastic working with it, helping us get things going. We now have put up 26 banners, similar to this here, throughout Tyrone, with veterans and their families paying for and putting them up. And we still got another 2 today. They stay up from, sorry, back to the microphone. They stay up from Memorial Day to Veterans Day. Actually, probably 2 weeks after Veterans Day, and that's when Mitch and his crew start putting up the Christmas banners, and so it works instrumentally that way. Our hope is that, well, let me take care of the banners, and then, thank you, Anita. One of the big things that really got us going was that we have this cross program in Tyrone. There's about 65, 70 crosses that are going up there, and we have live people who have their names on crosses. I never want my name on a cross until I was passed. And I made that mention at our Veterans Day last year. And with that, then we started investigating a little bit more. This last month, we went there and we looked at the crosses, and they're really tough. Billy Howard's the one who made them, and we still have about 15 that are still empty. They're falling apart. The bracing, Mitch's crew have put up there for easier installation. 5 of them were missing letters and names off it. So we just took them on over there and we got them fixed by, I believe it's Alpha there. They put a metal plate across and put new lettering on there, which cost us $125. That's something that we like to take care of with the money that we're raising, et cetera. But we also would like to possibly delete this program in maybe 5 years. They're falling apart, but that's something we'd like for you guys to give us authorization to do, so we can overlook this. We can overlook the bricks. There's like 700 bricks over there. And the only one who's really kept track of that is the Friends of Tyrone Museum. These here, I found in a folder. There's about 65 of those, so I've got that, and I'm trying to put together in our group. Just started putting together different committees that are going to take care of these things. But one of the main things we'd like to do is have oversight of improving Veterans Park by veterans and veterans' families. We're trying to give the Department of War to give us several static displays. We've contacted the Army, we've contacted the Air Force, we're contacting the Navy and the Marines, and it's a simple letter sent by Brandon Perkins to those departments. We have no idea what they're going to give us. We have to see what they're going to give us, and once they do, whatever it is, we'll have approval from the city town council, and then we'll figure out how we can fit within Veterans Park. We're currently working on the footprint, and we got a committee that's trying to put what we'd like to put together in Veterans Park. If you go to Veterans Park right now, I only did 25 years in the Air Force, and I've been out for 20-something years. I go over there, I don't know what some of the memorials we have up there are. I don't know why they're there. It's a little bit of a hodgepodge. It's beautiful, but if someone had meaning what they're doing, we like to put it together with some educational, like QR codes on things, and help develop things so we can make it a really good education things led by veterans and veterans' families in the future. That's,
Very good. Yeah.
that's what we're trying to do with the TVC, and we just love to have your approval to keep moving on forward and taking over these little programs and helping out. And in fact, having Miss Dee Baker help her when she's doing the Veterans Program every November, which you've been doing a fantastic job.
Yes,
We've already
yes.
got people who'd like to be the speaker this next round, and we'll bring it to you.
Dr. Brown, do you have any words for us?
For the opportunity to present this evening. My name is Dr. Nina Brown. I am 20-year retired Army. I've lived here for almost 2 years. I live on Green Branch. The wonderful thing about the banner program is after we display it and take them down, they will go to the families so they can have them as a keepsake. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your service to our country and what you're doing for our town.
Can I add just 2 more points? Dr. Nita's son is the banner that's right by Complete Hardware
Okay.
in there. And she reached out to me. She wanted her son to be memorialized there. He died to gun violence in Nashville a few years ago. And we picked up the grapevine, but it's a healing
Yes.
item. Yesterday, Joe Tishner, Colonel Joe Tishner, which is right in front of the Masons group, he celebrated his 95th birthday. His family took pictures of that. That just made them come together. The banner program is a success, and we'd like to continue it next year and keep it going with your all's approval.
If I may ask a question, Bert, you want to go from the cross program and then you're encouraging people to then buy bricks as opposed to that?
Yeah,
And,
yes,
and
sir.
then what would be the cost for them to do that?
The bricks are $50
Okay.
right now. The crosses were $20 or $30. It just costs us $25 to fix them. So we got to get past that. And then the banners were $150 last year, which $100 wound up coming to the TVC for our funds, which we raised approximately $1,200 that we're going to be able to utilize for the future here.
Does the committee have a Venmo account?
We will. We'll have a Venmo. We'll also have those other funny social terms. You know, we'll have a Venmo, and we're putting that together right now.
Okay.
We had to get our bank account set up first.
I don't carry paper money anymore, but I will Venmo you.
Love it.
So when would you want that transition to go from after this Veterans Day? You would like that transition to begin?
No, I'd love for it to start now. We're doing it. We're taking care of those. So we just wanted authorization because we don't know if we got to go to Parks and Recs. Do we go to, it's, Brandon. And so by allowing us to do that, and we work along with Sarah up front, your assistant clerk, she's been fantastic as people are filling those out. And Brandon's helping us with that and QR codes going in too. So it's still a work in motion.
I would like staff, I guess, to investigate whatever you need to do in order to transition it to the Veterans Committee. Get in contact with every department that's necessary in order to pass that on. And then I would also suggest that in the event that the committee doesn't continue in the future, that there's also a plan that this doesn't fall through the cracks and that it can be passed back to staff in some type of responsive way.
Initiate the transfer.
I would like to see that also include any kind of rentals of that facility and benches and, I know that you spoke of crosses and the banners and all the bricks and the great things, but I think there's a lot of other things that take place in that area in terms of the rental of the pavilion or the benches that are placed there. And if we're going to do it, I think we just need to holistically do it instead of hodgepodge do it.
What I'm requesting was per Mr. Perkins' suggestion, and I did specifically ask him about the benches, and the benches are not just veterans, and there becomes the issue. Some are not, some are citizens, some are just a memorial of a non-veteran. So therefore, I don't think it's appropriate, and I think that's what Mr. Perkins was suggesting, is the benches, and it's very complicated with the benches. There's footers that have to be poured, and it's a lot more of an effort by Public Works. So I don't think we're requesting that, are we, Bert?
I'd love to,
Eventually.
I'd love for, we can have control of what benches get put in Veterans Park.
Placement, yes.
You know, in there.
For
And we'd
sure.
like to make them so, say if your Army, the bench would be red. If it's Air Force, blue, light blue, whatever, in the future. But especially if we start getting statues placed in there and we put paths in there, we'd like for it to be
Right.
symbolic. And I guess if someone has in there that isn't Veterans Memorial, there's 60-something else along Tyrone. we could
That
find.
was my point. Not all benches, just the placement of benches in Veterans Park. I think it would, if you are taking it over as a Veterans Park, it would be appropriate that benches there are for veterans and elsewhere in the town for other, not to take over the whole bench program. No.
Yeah, that's, I think that needs to still be worked out with Parks and Rec.
I think it's something we can coordinate. We'll just make sure.
Maybe
that
at a
there's
later date, that is something we can work towards. I know we are a small volunteer group, and I know Mr. Miner has given countless hours towards this project, so kudos to him. Kudos to all the veterans on the committee, past and present, that have put many hours into this, getting the design, everything is all done by people who are committed to seeing our veterans honored. So thank
Great
you
work.
all.
We thank you all.
The banners are amazing. I hear comments from
'em.
people
Yeah,
all
I
the
love
time.
them.
Thank you.
Citizens, non-citizens, everybody loves them.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have, sorry, one final thing in regards to veterans. The Friends of the Tyrone Museum place memorial wreaths by Wreaths Across America every December, and they are in need still of 100 wreaths to be sponsored. And you can go to the Wreaths Across America and look for Tyrone and pick one of our cemeteries. I believe Sharon Memorials is already completed. Little Vine and Hopewell still need sponsorships. They're $17 each. So if you could find it in your pocketbook and in your heart to do that, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. That's all.
All right, I have a quick question for staff. One of our citizens made a comment about sewer capacity. What is our present sewer capacity?
So the town has approximately 200 to 250,000 gallons.
No,
Total.
Oh, our total capacity is around 400,000 gallons.
No, total capacity is 650,000 gallons.
Well, yes.
Okay, so
that is correct.
650,000, and we're using roughly 250, which leaves 400,000.
That is correct.
Okay. Peak flow.
That is peak flow.
Okay.
But this is a complex conversation. The 250 is what is either being used or is dedicated to a property, right? Can you explain it?
Yeah.
What is either,
didn't understand what you just said.
that number, as far as what we're using, that the term using would mean what we are literally using it or is designated to a piece of property.
When your sewer system first started, there were a number of properties where tap fees were paid in advance. Some of those properties still haven't been developed, but you have to count your capacity to include those undeveloped lots because the tap fee's already been paid. They've
Right.
reserved the capacity for those lots.
Got it.
So while the number might say our usage is 250, the usage is less than that because we're having to allocate for future usage from lots where tap fees have already been paid.
Okay, and that's where he was getting at with peak capacity, is that if everybody was connected who already paid and everybody was using it at the same time, that number, that peak number would be 250.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm presuming that's what Scott's definition is, yes.
Yes. Okay. No, I just wanted to know the total capacity because I've heard some of the math that was going on. I just wanted to clarify that.
All right, any other council comments? Okay. There is a need for executive session for,
Mr. Mayor, two items, one for threatened litigation and one for the review of your executive session minutes from August 6, 2026.
okay, is there a motion to move to executive session?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
6th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.